Hello, welcome to the first review of this channel with me and
Oh, is that my cue?
no, it wasn't. It was me trying to find you in the invite to team section because I
Oh,
realised I forgot.
oh,
Kamazox,
wonderful.
who broke his queue. Now here he is.
Yo,
So this review is going to be for Alien Fireteam Elite, which is a sort of horde mode shooter, third person, as you can see. And in these reviews, we're gonna got 5 categories. And we're going to review each category out of 10 and then final score at the end. So the categories are story, gameplay, atmosphere, content and replayability, and honesty. So let me just adjust my audio, write it down. And one of the strange things about this game you can see is even on controller you still have a cursor in the menus, which is a
I
little
never
odd.
understood that.
I mean, it's not terrible, but it is a little strange.
Yeah, it is just kind of strange.
Right, where were... Actually, no, I will fire up just so people can get... If we just go through on standard from the start, because that's the best... Right, let's go. So, I think this game's pretty new. It's been out for what? A couple of months by now?
I think so.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly when it came out, not gonna lie.
No, neither can I. But we both picked it up for sort of reduced, um, and we've played about 20 hours so far, which is enough to beat the story, um, and explore a bit with high difficulties and the horde mode. Um, so we've got a pretty good idea. We've played a few of the classes, like unlocked lots of guns, so we've got a really good idea of sort of how the game is. It's not the biggest game. Um, But anyway, let's kick it off with story. Now, the story.
Hmm.
Matt, off you go.
Right. Story. It has an attempt. Um, it really is one of those kind of generic games that is just riding off of the IP. So it doesn't do anything groundbreaking. It doesn't do anything like out there. It is just kind of, oh, there's alien stuff with a bit of like Prometheus in there.
Yeah, spoiler alert, it was Wayland Dutani.
Yeah, yeah. Somehow they never got that whole memo.
Yeah. I mean, Alien game, if you haven't assumed it's Wayland Dutani, you obviously haven't watched or played any Aliens games because it's always Wayland Dutani.
Yeah. Plot twist: aliens involved. Wayland Yutani did it.
Yeah, who knew?
Yeah. Could have fooled me.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. It's not the most original of stories, if at all. Um,
Hmm.
Basically, you go, it's Wayland Yutani, and that's kind of it. Actually, there isn't really much. You just kind of kill a lot of stuff.
It's pretty thin.
Very thin. um, like you at the start, you've got to rescue a doctor for no reason. Like he doesn't do anything. So
It seems to be that you play through missions to unlock intel, which gives you lore about the game, or about the world rather than the game.
yeah,
And
there
then that's
is.
kind of like the only incentive you have to do it, apart from the obvious of it just being a game you're playing.
Yeah, there is a lot of lore dumps in the like lobby area. A lot of lore dumps about alien stuff, which, to be honest, I wasn't that interested in.
Like, yeah, some of it's interesting, but I mean, it's still in the category of like what you would find on like the wiki fan page. So it's
Oh, by the way, if anyone's watching and thinking this guy's shit, it's because I got no sound, so I can't hear stuff, and audio cues are important. That's
oh,
my
I can't wait for a prowler.
that's my crutch. Audio. It's all the audio cues. That's why I'm bad.
I think it's because you don't have a smart gun.
Yeah, that smart gun is auto aim, and yeah, Matt thinks he's funny. But the smart gun is great. Smart gun for smart people, obviously.
Yeah, I mean to be fair, what like how they've gone about pulling stuff from the IP and representing it in the game, they've done pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I say
not a.
pretty well. They've done very well on it. Like, it seems like they've really put all the effort into that, and then let everything else kind of be a little bit like, you know, passable, mediocre.
Like, the
But
story's not offensively bad. It
yeah,
doesn't,
it's not
irritate
bad.
me. It's not, Alien Colonial Marines levels of script writing
Yeah.
where
Oh,
every Marine is like a one-line machine. Um, apart from the lady in your earpiece, who is the most obnoxious Mexican, just constant, irritating little quips.
yeah. It's like make a character, give it character, and don't just rely on like, oh,
Yeah,
this is
she's
Mexican
Hispanic.
person. Yeah.
That's her
Yeah.
character. It's like, no, that's not a character. That's just irritating.
It's
Um,
like in terms of like the best person to have in your ear, like you had like Cortana back in the Halo series. You had whichever factions like supermodel on screen for like Command and Conquer Red Alert 3, acceptable in their own way.
yeah,
But this is very, it's just very strange. It's like they've just clutched onto the idea of like, oh, there was Vasquez in the second game, well, second film, sorry, and now we must like double down on it. So pretty much every female character is like Mexican and all very happy to shout only Mexican things at you rather than actually have a place in the world.
yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I haven't checked because I'm lazy. But I'm pretty sure that it's the same voice actress who did Tequila who plays the exact same role in AVP 2010. Like, it is almost identical, and it was annoying then, and it's annoying now. In fact, it's worse now because it's already been done.
Well, they don't have the originality factor
Yeah,
anymore.
not that it was original in the first place, I don't think, but this is really quite old. Um, but again, the story's not. The story takes a massively back seat, so it really isn't. Oh, hello.
There he is. I heard him, man. I kept
Uh,
quiet.
must be love at first sight.
He must be in love at first sight.
But it's not offensively bad because the story takes a massive backseat. It's like Left 4 Dead or all these games. The story's not really important. But
Yeah,
it's kind of like they tried, but really didn't achieve anything. So I'm gonna go give it a 5. Just because it doesn't
really.
annoy me.
I mean, it doesn't actively annoy me. I'd give it a 4, to be honest. It's it's just like why they could have put something in like a little bit more effort. They've got a lot to choose from, but they kind of just went for mediocrity.
Yeah. Okay, but I mean, I'm being generous because these games never have a story, and it doesn't annoy me.
Oh, fair enough.
Like, there are a lot of games where the story just actively annoys me. Alien Colonial Marines, for example. Um,
I think probably one of the games that I really enjoyed back in the day, which kind of feels weird to say back in the day because it doesn't feel that long ago. But when Infamous first came out for the PS3, that whole that whole story could be summed up with Like here is Magic Ball gives people magic powers. Magic Ball gets stolen. Go find Magic Ball. That's literally the story, and they did a great job with it. So you don't need to have some like really complicated stuff going on to make it a like an interesting thing. So it just seems like, especially like considering the
Oh, hello.
um,
Another audio cue I
con-
missed.
yeah, especially considering the wealth of lore that you've got to choose from, and they just kind of didn't.
Yeah, they just did. Oh, it was Weyland-Yutani, and everyone's like really surprised. It's like by this point, which I think this is like 20 years after Aliens or something. Like,
Yeah,
surely you would have learned that if you see a xenomorph, it's Wei-Yu. It's like just assume, and you're probably right. You know, there's probably a synthetic gone rogue. It's probably Weyland-Yutani. They're probably
yeah.
doing illegal experiments. Let's be honest. You
I
know,
mean, it's almost as predictable as the Division storyline
yeah. And let's
because
face it, that wasn't the
it's
best, was it?
yeah. It's like, oh no, it's a rogue agent. Of course it is. It's a Sam Fisher game.
No, no, no. Division's not Sam Fisher.
Um, oh no, it's Tom Clancy, isn't it?
Tom Clancy.
Same
Sam
thing.
Fisher's Splinter Cell and Wildlands, where they're all like, "Oh yeah, Sam Fisher. Oh yeah." But so 5 and a 4, so it's not doing great. Right.
Well, these games don't really have stories, so what's the?
Yeah. Let's be honest. It doesn't hurt too much. That's why I'm not going under 5 because of its style of game, it doesn't hurt it too much. If it was like a linear single player game, like one I've mentioned twice already, that is infamous, Alien Colonial Marines, then it is a bit more criminal. Oh
Yeah, I
dear,
mean,
Alpha.
it's like if Metro didn't have a story. Like that would be horrific.
Fortunately, it does. Poor Alpha, he doesn't know which way he's going.
Yeah, he didn't get the latest patch update.
No, he's being controlled by Wei. He's just waiting to betray us. He doesn't know
Yeah,
it.
he's got a hidden
Yeah,
directive to save the Xeno.
he's muttering perfect organism to himself. You can
Yeah,
hear him.
his like
Uh,
motivational speech is he can't lie about our chances.
it's like my character flinched when we first got into the station because Alpha turned to him and was like, "I'll do the fingering." What?
Yeah, it's like, oh god.
Alpha? Right, anyway, going a bit off topic. Um, Gameplay, which is really the meat of this game. Kick us off.
Um, not gonna lie, it grew on me. There's a lot of weird decisions with the fact that tight corridors and third person. That's a kind of strange thing, and the only reason I can see for it to be a like the reason why they did it was so they can kind of shill cosmetics, but
Well, there aren't that many though, and they're
there's
really
quite a
easily
lot.
accessible.
Yeah, but I mean, you still want to see them, and it's like Dying Light had tons of cosmetics, but it was all first person, so you couldn't see anything. There's
Oh,
no
for
point.
God's sake!
Now I didn't even see that one, so like, I have no
This
excuse.
is. I don't think the cosmetics like. There's one
I know
armor
I don't
set per
mind them.
class, and then there's a bunch of, and you can really easily unlock them with the like in-game currency stuff. Like
Yeah,
I
but
think,
my point is that there's quite a lot of it in the game. Like, so to see it all, you'd have to be in third person because I
well,
don't
sure.
think it really. I don't think this game really lends itself to being a third person game.
Oh, not at all. Not at all.
So, so it seems a little strange. But I mean, other than that aspect of it, I think the gameplay is actually pretty solid. As far as third-person shooters go, like comparisons being like Division, that's probably the biggest one. Um, yeah, I mean, it's got better gameplay than Division when it comes down to gun combat. So fair play there.
I'd say the guns feel more satisfying in Division,
Yeah, yeah.
for sure. Um, For me, I think the gameplay is pretty good. Your mobility is very low. You've just got like a roll,
Yeah,
and you can only roll 3 times, and then your stamina bar's out. You do have sprint, but it's pretty meh. Um, the weird thing I find in this game is the fact that hello Zeno, it's got cover mechanic,
that is kind of strange. Not gonna lie. I mean,
which
parts of it are pretty good because spoilers. You find synths as well, but
yeah, the
it
institute got loose.
is kind of strange.
Um, there's like a couple of missions where you fight androids, and that's the only time you ever use the cover. So it's just really odd. Like, and even then, you could probably actually get away without using the cover in those sections. Um, there is no crouch button either.
Yeah, that's a strange one.
I would actually have much preferred a system like Army of Two where you just crouch behind cover rather than stick to it. I think
Because
that
I
would have
mean,
suited this game far more.
I think so as well. Because there's a lot of waist high cover anyway. So if you just had a crouch button instead of having sticky cover,
Yeah. Because, I mean, sticky cover, like, why are you going to do that against Xenomorphs who are charging you? It's just.
yeah, considering highly mobile enemy, you don't really want to be in one place. Or at least, if you're going to be in one
Oh,
place, you want to
hello.
be able to move away from it when they finally overwhelm that position. So it's like, why would you? Why would you put that in?
Yeah. I
But
mean, but I think as third person shooters go, it's very good. Um, very solid. Very little bugs.
that's a big one because I know the games these days very very hit and miss when it comes down to bugs.
There is one teleporting prowler, and that's about it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't really fault it. I mean, I've played Fallout 4. I know what a bug is.
And I don't think we came across any other bugs. Oh, hello. I've just been turned into molten slag. But overall, very good, just sort of general movement and shooting mechanics. All the guns are very well designed. They all feel usable, bar maybe the machine pistol. And the ones, so you've got obviously the classics like the smart gun and the pulse rifle, both pretty much nailed it in their feel. Um,
Yeah, they did those two very very well.
yeah, you really feel um, like the ones in the movies. And obviously there's a lot of guns for the sake of content that aren't in
Yeah,
the
lots of
movies.
filler.
But for the most part, they fit in with the aesthetic. They're quite fun to use. So at the moment, I'm using the heavy assault rifle, heavy pulse rifle, assault rifle, I think, and it fits, and it's really fun to use, and it fills the role. And I can't really complain when it comes to the gun design. You know, it's not like Warzone where they just butcher World War II weapons. Um,
That really got you, didn't it?
it is terrible. Like, why am I seeing this Bren gun with a silencer and a red dot? Oh, it's and then with the stock removed as well. Don't forget,
Oh
or
yeah.
like with a little flappy stock or something like that, and a drum mag on it. Or God, I, it's just yeah, it should be allowed. Warzone is not my favorite,
Yeah, fair enough.
but and also they've got like any shooter attachment systems where you get
Oh,
three
that is.
attachments per gun.
Yeah, it's not a bad one. It's not a bad attachment system at all because it's not too. Um, it's not like too in your face, like forcing you to be like, okay, change everything about this gun because this gun is just a mess if you don't have anything. Um, but it gives you enough customizability to actually have a little bit more of something that fits more of your playstyle, and also fits the class that you're playing.
Yeah, and in general, they all kind of like fit a role.
Hmm.
They increase the effectiveness of the gun just enough to be worth it, and not enough to be the be all and end all. Um, I think they're actually quite well balanced. I think they did a really good
Yeah.
job with the attachments, and also visually they don't they don't take you a la Warzone straight out of the immersion. They do fit in with the aesthetic of the game.
Hmm.
And I think the only other real thing with gameplay really is the enemies.
Well, enemies and classes, because like the classes don't feel too um like weird. Well, there's one or two that you can probably be like, why is this in the game? Like the Phalanx class
Yeah, with
comes with a
the
riot shield,
riot
which
shield.
is pointless really because it takes you completely out of
I feel like they
any
were
kind of
aping
action.
Division. I think that was like, oh, the
Yeah,
Division's got a shield. We must do that in this game.
hmm.
Because
Yeah,
let's
it
face it,
doesn't fit.
as soon as an alien gets shot near it, it's going to melt the shield. So seems a
Yeah,
bit silly.
does kind of make the Xeno a bit of a nasty enemy. It's like big old blotches of acid on the floor.
Um, in general, though, I like the classes. They're all different enough to have their own role, and they're sort of again all visually in keeping with the aesthetic. Um,
So
and
the only one that gets a little dodgy with that is probably the Lancer.
yeah, a little bit.
But that's being pretty nitpicky. Yeah, on the whole, I think they do a good job. Um, so every class has got a role, every class has got a certain play style, and it doesn't feel like each class is like enveloped. So it's like, okay, you've actually got roles that you can use.
Yeah, each class definitely fills a role. Like, so the
Yeah, it fills a
Demolisher
role
is
and
definitely
is flexible
against.
within it.
Yeah. So the gunner I'm playing now is just a catch-all, really. You can do pretty much anything. Like the Demolisher, which is the heavy, much better against swarms. Medic, self-explanatory. Which is this
Yeah,
thing here.
doing medic things.
Um, so yeah,
Alpha's not going to get much healing.
the enemies, the Xenos move around pretty well. Um, they're good at climbing up walls. The special enemies, I actually quite like because very, very few of them take you, disable you. Unlike Left 4 Dead 2.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of an annoying part of that game where enemies disable you. I don't particularly mind it, really. That's you got more of a pet peeve on that one than I do, but the
Mate, I played the whole Left 4 Dead 2 with that bloody little dwarf wannabe jockey thing. Just every time I walk around a corner, he just jumps on my back and assails me.
I think you just got to get good. But
Nah.
with the Xenos in this, I think they make them good enough that they're a threat and can be quite overwhelming, especially on the harder difficulties. Like the amount of times we've just died based off of like a tiny bit of wrong positioning, and then you get a special that comes out that like the spitter that starts just churning acid at you. It's
Yeah.
kind of weird. Like there's always a spitter, there's always like something that bursts, and there's always one thing that kind of jumps on you and disables you in these type of games. And they don't feel too bad at all in this. And in some regard, they're actually quite good because the spitters do enough like area control to make it a problem for you if you want to try and hunker down. And just in normal movement of the way these enemies are coded and the way they work and behave, it is much better than I've seen in other games, and it also fills the role quite well. Because Xenos on walls, Xenos on the ceiling, things like that. And whenever you kill one, little patch of acid. So you've got it's all things to be mindful of, which makes for nice, interesting bits of gameplay instead of
Yeah.
like a zombie horde that just charges at you and
I,
that's it.
I mean, it does tick all the generic boxes, like as you say, burster, spitter,
Hmm.
hunt prowler. Sorry, which is the one which disables you like a hunter in Left 4 Dead. Um, warrior, which is the tanky one. One of the ones I like is the drone, which just screams really loud and barrels at you. Um,
Yeah, just in case you didn't hear it coming.
yeah, it's an ambush predator which screams really loud, just in case. Oh,
I
hello.
think my favourite's the prowler that hides in plain sight.
Yeah, so you'll often be running down a corridor and there'll just be an alien stuck to the ceiling right in plain view, just looking at you and breathing heavily because he's excited. It's like,
Yeah,
I'm
God,
gonna get this marine. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him.
sounds like
Yeah,
my date night.
yeah. Just Matt just staring at this girl. Mm. If I just breathe heavily, she might get the idea that I like
It's just me trying to clear my throat and get like
her.
break the silence.
That's what you do when the bill comes. You just silence and heavy breathing.
As I slowly slide it across the table.
Um, so overall, and also the androids are actually doing quite well, even though they're kind of like a square peg in a round hole for this game because it sort of turns it into a cover game.
Yeah,
They're not bad at all. So I'm gonna give gameplay a good old 8. I think they did a good job.
yeah, I'd agree with that.
So let's continue the campaign. Um, yeah, I think this game is solid on gameplay. It doesn't blow you away, but it pretty much does everything right. There isn't like there's very few times I've actually got annoyed at the game. Very few times.
It's rare for you.
No, it's not. I am very relaxed when it comes to gameplay.
Tell that to Dark Souls.
I never raged at Dark Souls,
Well, I remember a
apart
lot of
from earlier
screaming.
today. That doesn't count though because it was bullshit. Um, but yeah. So atmosphere.
I think this game nails atmosphere. To be honest, the soundtrack's pretty decent. Um, like the area design is pretty spot on. Um, there's parts which kind of look a little bit like it's like not exactly like a rip off of Halo, but you can kind of see where they got some inspiration from, like in the ruins. But it's uh,
Well,
it's definitely
it's very faithful to the films. Very. Oh,
yes, yeah, it is definitely yeah, definitely faithful to the films. Like just do the little nitty gritty bit of scenery with like, this is how a proper like turret looks, and this is how the smart gun looks. Like everything is just designed well to kind of keep you in the game and kind of keep you um, yeah, keep you engaged. The only thing that I would say kind of draws it away from that would be the third person aspect. If
yeah.
this game was first person, and maybe a tiny bit slower paced, I would say that this would nail the atmosphere
I think you've
for it.
got to lose points for being third person in an alien game.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like the best Alien game I think is Alien Isolation, because that is it just brings like the sheer fear of what the alien is supposed to be. Because like Alien was not really, it's not an alien film, it's a horror movie, so it's less of you know Men in Black stuff with aliens is not scary because the entire tone of the film's way different. Um, so it's just like Murder in the Woods style, but um, in space with an alien instead of like a hillbilly.
Yeah,
So it's if it was first person and slightly slower paced, maybe with less Xenos, that would like really engage. Because then it would actually put the survival fear element in it,
yeah.
rather than the whole I'm gonna charge around and shoot Xenos all day.
I mean, for me, I think area design, they nailed it.
Yeah,
Very, very faithful to all the films. Spoilers. Prometheus and the new ones as well. Um, the enemy audio, I think, is very good. The way the Xenos scream, um, and sort of just huff and puff at you a lot. It does feel like the film Aliens, for sure. The negative when it comes to the aliens though is the fact that you're mowing like 100 down at a time,
yeah,
which does kind of take away from the whole the aliens is super um, alien which can take out like an entire squad on its own. Um, so that is a big negative. You are definitely not afraid in this game. There is very little horror element.
there's
Um,
definitely well on the harder difficulties. I would say that there's definitely the uh, um, the stress factor, but it's not fear.
yeah. Oh, you definitely get the overwhelming factor, um, but not horror. Not like Alien Isolation, um,
Mm.
which I think is a bit of a negative because you've got this IP with this. Oh, hello. Someone's getting a bit frisky. Um, with this really really interesting creature, which is horrifying, like alien to human sort of experience, horrifying. But because and you just mow them down, it's like, well, these things can't be that scary, can they? Because we've just killed 200 in
Yeah,
5 seconds. Um,
yeah. In that last mission, I killed something like 260,
yeah.
which feels a little much.
I think it would be better if there were less aliens, but they were more scary.
Yeah, yeah. I think that would be a good way to go about it.
Um,
Just dumb it down a little bit, make the pace a little slower, put in things like welding doors and things like that.
yeah, you should definitely have to like escape and weld doors behind you to shut off like attack routes. I think that they missed a, they missed quite a big trick there.
Hmm.
Oh, hello. So I'm gonna like because the area design is so good, or visually it's so good. Um, I would give it. I don't want to mark it too low. I think because it's third person, which is such a stupid decision. Can I keep my alpha? Seriously, alpha. Hang on. Why have I got alpha and beta?
You did not re-invite me to the game. You've been playing by yourself this whole time. I was waiting for you to notice.
Oh, that might be it. Well, whoops. Um,
You're probably going to find that you're getting carried through the mission by two bots.
so let's abandon this mission. So yeah, going back to the review, I'm gonna give it a 6. 'Cause no, you know
Really?
what? I'm gonna give it a 5 because it gets one part really really well, like the area design, but the rest of it does miss the mark quite heavily, especially for an Alien game.
I think you're being a bit overly critical there.
No, I think because I mean, for me personally, I love the Alien films, um, and it really does miss a trick when it's third person and you're mowing down hundreds at a time. It gets the marine side of it quite well, They definitely do feel like the Colonial Marines, but I think because they miss such an open door, it has to be marked down. Um, so yeah, I'm going with a 5.
Oh, fair enough. You see, I was going to be generous and give it a 7 because the big problem with the game um, really is just it being a third person game. Because it's I remember you saying before about it being a a game like engine and everything that didn't look like it was designed for an Alien game in mind. It was just kind of what was like what they just threw on it as like a coat of paint at the end.
I
But
haven't made that point yet. You do realise that?
yeah, but I remember you talking about it before.
Yeah. Spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers. But but yeah, it is like because of that aspect of it, it does take a bit of a hit. But I think in terms of like area design, I mean, you just look around. There's a lot going on that they've put in that's actually pretty decent.
So
I
what are
mean,
you?
I would go with a 7,
7.
but it'd be like a just 7.
Just
Like,
7.
yeah.
Just just passed. I don't know. I think that's quite generous. But anyway, replayability and content. Oof.
Um, content light. Um, but it's because what is it? It's got like 12 missions.
4 chapters with 3 missions each.
Yeah,
Oh, hello.
that's a little low, but I mean these games never really go
You
too
always were an
crazy.
asshole, Gorman. Oh,
Yeah, these games never really go too crazy with content. But in terms of, I think it kind of makes up for it with the fact that the areas um, are well designed, so you don't feel like you're banging your head against a brick wall having to play through the areas over and over again. Because for the most part, you don't have to play through it all that much. Because you've got things like horde mode and stuff like that.
the horde mode is very limited though.
It is very limited, but and I mean, I wouldn't even really say it was like a saving grace as such for like its lack of content. But I mean, I've seen games that have only got like 5 levels in a game, and then they like, 50 quid retail price, and it's only 5 levels.
Yeah.
So that kind of idea is a bit obnoxious. But I think it does okay. I don't think it's like you know really bad for it, but it's definitely not got the most content. I mean, you've got games like Vermintide and all that have got many more levels. Granted, they are a little, or at least some of them can be seen as like filler, but it's I think it does a good enough job to kind of get by with what it is.
Yeah. For me, I think it is sort of one chapter too short. Um, but like you say, each mission is quite distinct
Yeah,
in the area design at least. Like the way they play is pretty similar. You kind of just run through, do a little hold up section, then run through a bit more. Then another little holdout section, run through a bit more, and then you've got a big holdout section. But in the way the visuals and the area design, they are distinct. I think the classes are distinct enough to make you want to play different classes. Um,
yeah,
the horde mode is just one map, which kind of sucks. It's fun, but it is just one map. Um, Also, I think the gun progression is pretty good as well. It's quick enough to be interesting, um, but
mm,
slow enough so like in a division, every 5 seconds you're changing your gun. It's not like that.
yeah. I mean, even though there is kind of like a combat rating, like the equivalent of a gear score, it doesn't seem to impact the game in many ways at all. So it's like, okay, you've got yourself a score which you will want to keep high because that's just where the good gear is. But if your whole play style is just completely different to what is considered a better gun based on combat rating, then you're better off just using whatever gun you want rather than just chasing a rating.
Yeah, and also there's not like different levels for the same gun. It's not like level 4 pulse rifle, level 5 pulse rifle,
Yeah.
because that is
So
just cancer in any game.
yeah, like that stuff is stupid.
Fallout 76, looking at you.
Yeah.
Oh, I found
Yeah,
this really
it's
cool
like
gun. Can't use it for the next 20 levels.
arbitrary rule on that one.
Um,
It does annoy me, that stuff, because it's just like it takes out, especially in a game like Fallout, where it's supposed to be like open world and stuff like that, and then they take away the RP roleplay element, um, and like exploration deal because of like the sake of an arbitrary level. I'm like, ugh, what's the point? So this
yeah.
game does quite nicely with oh this game does quite nicely with its progression system.
They also has perks for each class, which is an odd system, which I'll show after we've done this level, um, where you kind of attach different perks onto your abilities in a grid, a bit like an inventory system from Diablo 2, which is kind of odd. But again, it's not. It doesn't make you that much more powerful where it's, oh, I can't beat the mission because I haven't got this perk. But it does add enough to make it feel worthwhile actually spending time with.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things that is definitely worthwhile doing, but I mean if you're good at the game, hit a lot of your shots, and
Just like me.
yeah, just like you with a smart gun. If
Auto aim,
if you
best
do
aim.
that, then you'll be fine.
Yeah, so I think it. I think it does well on the class front, and also there's 4 difficulties. We've only actually played. Actually, no, sorry, there's 5 because there's easy. I always forget about easy. Um, I'm assuming there's easy. I haven't actually checked. But each difficulty is a substantial step up.
Yeah.
Like there is definitely a big step up from standard to intense, and that does add to the replayability because there definitely is a challenge to beating each level. Um, so I think the difficulties are quite good, um, and distinct enough to be worthwhile trying. Ooh, hello.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that one.
But for me, I'm gonna give it. Ooh, I don't know actually. I want to be harsh because there just isn't enough missions, but it does get quite a bit right. I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it a 6.
Ah.
And I think because the missions are distinct enough, um, but it should have 5 chapters. I think if they had released it with 5 chapters, that would be a 7 to an 8. But because they didn't, and Horde mode only
Yeah.
has 1 map, which is kind of sucks.
Yeah, that's not great.
But
But
the
yeah,
the
I
progression I've really enjoyed. So
yeah, it gets a fair amount right. Um, but it's a shame that there's not enough of it, really. Because looking at it with how it's like how it's been marketed and like its actual price, I would expect a little bit more.
yeah,
So I mean, I'd probably give it a six
Yeah,
as well.
especially if you were buying it full price.
Like if I was buying it,
Oh, hello.
actually, if I was
God,
buying it
rape,
full price,
rape.
oh dear,
God, did not ask my
God,
consent. That one. I reserve the right to say no.
just
Honestly.
say no, man. But I would probably give it I'd probably give it a six, low six, maybe at a push. If I was being real critical, give it a five for that, because it's got passable content, but it's at the level where I'm feeling like a
Oh,
little bit.
I've got to change my score. I forgot.
Why?
It's got emotes. It has to lose
Oh,
a point for emotes. So it's definitely a 5. I hate emotes. They're just so
I really
pointless.
don't understand why it's here.
Every game has them now for no reason, and it's just annoying. So you are going down to a 5. Sorry, game.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oop. So
I
what?
mean, emotes don't really bother me too much. It is kind of a shame that they wasted a lot of time with the emotes to like put in things like emotes, put in different like skins and colors for the like for your guns. Like if you could reduce all of that by like 80% and still have enough customization to do what you want. And
But a pink pulse rifle? Who doesn't want a pink pulse rifle?
but yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you reduced it all by about 80%, you'd still have enough to make the game interesting and customizable, and you would probably get another level out of it.
Ooh, world's worst Dino right there.
You know?
I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. The store's gonna open. I'm gonna. Oh, hello. What did I hear? I did. Honestly, it's a bit dramatic that one, isn't he?
But oh, in terms of progression as well, actually, something we should mention is the card system, because that makes the idea of replaying a mission quite fun. Just because you'll
Oh
put on a
yeah.
challenge card, and it'll change the way the mission plays. Now that's a really nice idea. Um,
Yeah. No, that's quite good. Um,
so in terms of replayability, it definitely makes the game more fun.
so the cards can be stuff like you fall over when you run into each other. Um,
Yeah,
there was one where you take damage over time at all times, and it only stops um when you kill an enemy. Trying to think what else was there.
there's a one where it changes your camera mode.
Oh yeah, so you get like a black and white grain effect, which is actually arguably helpful in some missions.
Yeah, some missions quite helpful, but for
Ah,
the most time, it's supposed to try and hinder you. But you'll do it for extra credits to buy like more guns, more skins, and things like that. So it kind of feeds back into itself a bit. In terms of like fun, it's definitely makes it more fun playing through missions you've already played through before. But the end goal is still vanity stuff, which is well, kind of half vanity, half like supplies and requisition stuff for missions to help you get through on higher difficulties. So it like a bit of a double-edged sword, but overall I see it's definitely a good thing.
so requisition basically allows you to buy items, which are these on the wheel, which is on my screen at the moment. So that'd be sentry guns, mines, and ammunitions, like incendiary ammo. You do pick some up through the mission, but on the harder difficulties, you definitely need to go in with some kit, um, because it really does help, especially like the incendiary turrets. Oh,
Ooh, bursters.
so yeah, I'm going with 5 on replayability.
Yeah, I'd give it a 6. I'll stick with my 6.
Stick with your 6. So last category, honesty. I'll kick this one off.
Yeah,
Because
kick
why
us
not?
off.
So honesty, Matt alluded to it earlier in the video, but I think this game's a little bit dishonest because I don't think it was designed for aliens. Um, just for the reasons we've gone over already, like it's third person, and there's cover mechanic, which just seems so odd in an aliens game. Um, I just feel like this they had an idea. They're like, we want to do a horde shooter, um, and I and then the opportunity arose to do aliens, and they just took it and they slapped an alien skin on it. I think they've done a good job with it. As good a job as you could, but I just have this feeling that this wasn't an alien game initially. Um, so for that, I do think it kind of scores quite low. And of course, emotes. Sod emotes. Every game that has emotes just has to reduce score lower because it's just so annoying.
Yeah, it is a bit of a waste, like a wasted effort into it. I mean, sure, if you've got enough time and things like that, but it is kind of like, why would you? Like, if you've got all this extra time to do extra work on a game, then why don't you just put more effort into the game?
Yeah,
So
make
it's a
make
little,
more proper content. You know,
yeah,
because this game would really could do with that one extra chapter.
yeah, like one extra chapter, um, maybe like an alternate game mode where you can play through on like a survival difficulty or like a survival theme. Um, so it does like tick those boxes rather than just have like here's random horde mode, go for it. I mean, horde mode is okay, but we only really use it to get things for the main mission.
Oh, I've just realised the point which I've forgotten. The atmosphere point
Oh
is
yeah.
the light. We have to talk about the light.
Well, I don't have a problem with it.
The dreadful, treacherous light of this game, which turns off whenever you need it.
You see, my torch is on at the moment.
Mine just turned on, which is why I just realised. But basically, the light will automatically turn on and off depending on the lighting. But it doesn't really ever make sense. There are many, many dark areas where the light decides not to turn on. Why the game couldn't just have a toggle, like on and off, is beyond me. But maybe I'm being too harsh, but I don't think so. I think they should have had a toggle.
Well, I mean, a toggle light, toggle crouch.
Okay. Oh yeah, toggle crouch as well. Especially in the high difficulties where you got friendly fire.
Yeah.
But so I'm gonna score it quite low in honesty because I do feel like this was a different game at oh hello conception, and they are just kind of banking in on the Alien IP, even though
Yeah,
they do it well. Like I'm not going to say they've done a bad job with it, and they definitely haven't abused it like Gearbox did with Alien Colonial Marines. Um,
yeah, God, talk about the most dishonest game I've ever seen.
but
Actually, yeah, I think it probably is.
so I'm going to give it a 4.
I'll give it a 3, to be honest.
Ooh,
Because, I mean, it does feel like it rides off the IP, and that's about it. I mean, it's good gameplay and everything, but you could literally take that gameplay and put it in virtually any other setting, and it wouldn't make any difference at all. Like, you'd still get good gameplay out of it. So, it's just like, oh, here's an engine, and then go, aliens, why not? Rather than it being an actual, like, proper choice of story and idea comes first, and then we'll put a game engine into it. It seems like the game was made a little bit back to front,
yeah, for
so
sure.
it's kind of strange to me. I find it a bit odd.
So my final score was it 5-8? What did I give it for atmosphere? I've forgotten now.
Didn't you slate that at like a
I think I
5?
did, yeah. So I think it's 15. What did I give it for replayability? I've forgotten that one as well.
Oh my
5.
god.
I think I've gone in a lot of fives.
Pilot episode going well.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's YouTube.
Don't worry, we're completely
Yeah.
unlicensed and strictly amateur.
Strictly amateur. Exactly.
Yeah, strictly
Yeah.
amateur.
The amateur gentleman. We are English after all. So yeah, I think it was fives all the way through. If I was wrong, just slate me in a comment or something. I don't know. So fives, 3 5s, an 8, 23, and a 4. So 27 out of 50. It's not great. Even though I have a lot of fun with the game, it's not great. I think also because I love Vermintide so much, and Vermintide's sort of like the
I think Vermintide's like the king when it comes to this
yeah,
game mode.
it's kind of like what the standard now. Um, so yeah, I think 27's fair because it's fun. You can have fun with this game. Like no, it's not a game you pick up and you're like, oh that sucked, or it's just boring. It's definitely neither of those. But it's just misses a lot of opportunities. It's a bit too generic. Um, and like I think the big point is that it doesn't feel like it was designed for Alien. Like this game should be third per. God, I'm getting it wrong now. Should be first person, and it should have stuff like door welding. Doors should open and close a lot slower for tension. Ooh.
Yeah,
Um,
there's little bits and bobs that really would kind of like fix it.
there's a lot of nuance they just haven't put in the game, where they really could have, and it would make a massive difference to the experience.
Yeah, because in terms of like odd choices, I don't think you can get really too much more odd than in an Alien game having a melee button. Like, why would you ever try and melee a Xeno? It's got acid for blood.
Yeah, like, and you never
So
use it. You never even use it.
yeah, because it does nothing. Like it might like one hit a Xeno, like a basic Xeno, but at the end of the day, you're still taking more damage than you would if you just shot it because of the fact that you're stood in acid at that point. So it's kind of strange.
Yeah, and
But
also like because it's third person, the motion tracker's just in the bottom right, where you don't have that tension where you've got your motion tracker out and you're looking at it, and you're looking at it, but you haven't got your gun out.
yeah, yeah, there's not
Um,
really a trade-off system. It's just like every you got a like a HUD, but because it's third person, your HUD's just floating everywhere.
yeah, so I think 27 is actually quite fair because it's safe, it's fun, but it
Hmm.
ultimately is underwhelming.
Would you recommend this game to a rando?
For reduced price, yes.
Uh, fair. I'd definitely recommend this game, but I wouldn't pay any more than like maybe 20, 25 pound for it.
Yeah. Well, what run us through your scores then?
Uh, what did I get?
Don't ask me. I forgot my scores. I don't remember your scores.
Well, I was definitely more lenient than you were for for most of it, to be honest.
I'm sure you gave it an 8 on gameplay. Story, was it 6?
5 or 6.
We'll say.
I scored about 33. Um, but yeah, I mean, I would recommend it. I wouldn't I wouldn't scream about it because it's passable. Is it the best Alien game? No.
No.
Is it the best like third person horde shooter run around generic mission? Like maybe.
Yeah,
I've not
maybe.
played a huge amount.
The one we have
In
played is World War Z, but from what I've seen, I think this is better.
Yeah, like the more I see of it, the more I'm kind of like everything is just go here, then hold out, then go there, then hold out. This is a little bit more varied at least, which is uh which is definitely welcome because if you're going to make a generic game and then make it boring, you've just kind of doubled down on making a terrible game.
Yeah,
So this game is at least it's interesting to play through, and there's parts of it that are really good. Um, like there are aspects of this game that I think are just like they've nailed, but I kind of feel like they're trying to do far too much of a tribute to the IP rather than focusing on making a good game.
yeah.
Um, so I would definitely recommend it, but not at full price, no way. Because I mean, it's definitely not worth the 50 quid. So it's like, yeah, play through, but also it's definitely a good game if you don't have many friends, because you only have a squad size of 3, which is
Perfect.
again very strange.
Yeah,
Like normally you would have a squad size of 4, but then again, tight corridors, third-person camera. They probably looked at it and went like, oh, I can't see anything because my friend's in the way of my camera. So I
yeah.
suppose that's kind of a choice.
I
Um,
yeah, I definitely third person is a real weird decision for an any game,
yeah.
and
I mean, in terms of a third-person system, probably one of the better ones I've seen. But
the only thing it lacks is cover to cover movement. But because
yeah,
you never really use cover, you don't really notice it.
mm,
Um, so I think that sums it up pretty well. Before we go, I'm just gonna show on screen the perk system because it is kind of weird. Where
it
you've
is
got
kind of weird. It's a
your
cross between Tetris and not Fallout, for Resident Evil 4. The inventory system. It's just like here you are.
yeah.
Have random.
So for people watching, on the screen you've got your class abilities, micro rockets and blast wave. This demolisher, and then you have core perks. So this one would be heavy training, increases your weapon max ammo and reload speed, and then you attach modifiers. So you can't put them over there, for example. You have to attach it, and then you can rotate it, which I totally knew the first time and never didn't realize that you could do. So it is a bit odd. You have to like play around with the positioning, but it does kind of work. But strange nonetheless.
Yeah, it works, but it's just little weird.
It's a bit like the cursor, with a controller. Works, but odd.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
works, but kind of strange. Again, it's probably something that wasn't really designed for this kind of game, but it does kind of feel a little, yeah, it feels a little weird, like to say the least.
yeah. And
But
on that note, I think that's a good place to stop. And I think,
I think a one thing to mention, seeing as it is the end, I've never seen a game that exits this fast.
oh yeah, the
Like
incredibly speedy exit.
this game exits game like developers should take note because this game nails it. If you want to stop playing this game, all you gotta do go into the settings, click exit game, and you're out within like a second, maybe less. It's probably less than a second. I think you're out in about half a second.
It's incredibly quick. From Software, learn. Hire
Yeah,
the
there's
person who designed the exit button in this game.
Yeah, because this game just closes so fast, and you're not stuck in like a relaunch, like in like with a FromSoft game, or your weird bug that you had with Colonial Marines that kept on relaunching the game whenever you.
This game is so good you don't want to close it really.
Yeah, it's like quits it, and then Steam automatically is there kicking it back up again. It's like, what is that? But yeah, in terms of if you really want to quit this game, which kind of sounds bad now that I've been recommending it to people, but if you want to quit this game will get you there, lickety split.
And on that positive note, I think we will call it there for today. we'll probably do another one on another game at some point, maybe. Um,
Maybe.
maybe.
No
Yeah.
schedule yet.
No schedule yet. This is all work in progress. Um, Also, I will remember to have a pen so I can write down the scores so we don't forget. See, it's learning improvement like that which is going to make this channel just
It'll just blow
tip
up, man.
top. Yeah, man.
Just
Just
blow
take
up,
up.
and it will take the internet by storm. With a pen, I'll get a pen as well.
Yeah.
2 pens,
Two
double
pens.
the. Cool.
So on that note, follow, subscribe, whatever it is you do on YouTube.
It's an experienced gentleman right here.
Exactly. And yeah, comment, say something. We may
Tell us how much
reply.
we suck.
Yeah. And that's it. So see you all later.
In a bit.